Hey everybody, James Slattery here again with video number 2. Appreciate the input and feedback on the first video. Um, Today we're going to talk about SEO VPS servers and it titled Your SEO VPS Server Stinks, a worthwhile alternative to VPS. So, starting off, why do we use VPS, virtual private servers? Some people might be super new to SEO. They might not even be using VPS. So, the reason why we use VPS servers is we rent them from a hosting company and they allow us to throw a job onto a computer and log out of it, and that job continues to run. So, it's all about set it and forget it, which works really well for link building tools, scraping tools, CTR tools, all internet marketing software. Some of these jobs take a long time. Some of them take hours. Some of my link building campaigns take days. So it's important to have not just a VPS, but many of us have multiple VPSs. And basically the speed is there, the bandwidth is there, to be able to handle these jobs, push them out to the internet. They have all the proxies loaded, etc., to get our internet marketing tasks or SEO tasks done, without occupying your PC, your desktop, or laptop. That's the big problem with a lot of these tools, is they mimic the movement of the mouse, and while the jobs are running, you can't use your computer. So that's why people get VPS. So the cons, the pros are immediate. All the tools that we use, they take a long time to run. So, and some of them are ongoing, like CTR. So we need some sort of tool. So VPS is what people defaulted to. And the problem is, number one, they're expensive. They start at $30 in a month. And at $30 a month, you're getting junk. You're getting terrible speed, very little processor. You're probably getting a shared processor. You're probably getting shared space. You have a lack of control as far as resetting the unit, changing the unit, upgrading the unit. Some of the VPS hosting services monitor what software, where you run, which ports you're going in and out of on their network. There's a lot of extra configuration because you don't have your hands on the unit. You don't have physical access to the ports, which is becoming more and more important with people utilizing, phones connected to servers, etc., and other devices. So physical access to the USB ports is important. Again, we spoke about limited disk space. You could buy more disk space and you could pay more money. And there are plenty of people out there that are probably watching this video that may have upwards of 10 to 20 VPSs, and speed-wise they're terrible, disk space they're terrible, and the reality is at the end of each month you own nothing. It's not an investment. You're saying it's cost of business. Well, your cost of business could be an investment, and that's what this is about. Um, and the speed versus cost is a bad return on investment. It really isn't an investment at the end of every month. You're just renting someone else's computing space. So the solution is enter Proxmox. So Proxmox is a hypervisor, which is the technical term for a computer, a tower computer, like shown in the picture here. It's a computer that runs virtual machines. And if the computer is strong enough and the hard drive space is enough, you can run a lot of these virtual machines very fast, extremely, extremely fast. And the one that I'm talking about here today is suitable for running 20 copies of Windows 10 on a 2 terabyte hard drive. Now, this is an investment, so you do have to spend some money, but it's not a lot. And when you compare it with what you would spend on the open market for, a hosted virtual server, you'd probably spend upwards of $600 a month to come even close to the processing power of this machine. $600 a month, $7,200 a year. This is nowhere near that. It's a worthwhile investment in your SEO or internet marketing business. So I'll explain to you what goes into getting the Proxmox server up and running, getting the actual physical hardware, getting the unit up and running, and what the benefits are. Okay. So, okay, I'm intrigued. How do I own 20 Windows, 10 computers to run SEO software or internet marketing software or anything of that nature? So, you have to round up the parts. Major benefit in the next slide is if you have Micro Center near you. Micro Center, I've listed the part numbers for this unit. Basically, you start off with a tower. Inside the tower goes the motherboard. On the motherboard, right here, goes the CPU. Inside the tower also goes the hard drive, and that's 2 terabyte solid state hard drive with no moving parts, so it's super fast. Fast memory and fast network card. I recommend that you get an Intel network card. And as far as the CPU that we're talking about in this build, it's a Ryzen 5950. And the Ryzen 5950 is 16 core, 32 threads, which is massive computing power, which is very well distributed amongst multiple Windows installations. Again, all this stuff basically gets put into the tower case. This machine can be run without a monitor. You probably want to put one on there to begin with just to get it booted up, but it's very, very simple to get it started. Very, very simple. It's much easier than Windows as far as getting started. And I'm going to give you solutions as far as how to build it, how to get the parts, etc. So Micro Center, by the way, does sell the case with the power supply as one package, the motherboard and the CPU as one package, hard drive separately, the RAM separately. I didn't find the Intel network card that Proxmox recommends at Micro Center, so I gave you the details on how to get it through Amazon. So the next screen, the cost. So the cost of this unit, 16 core, 32 thread, 5950. Again, I said that the combo here with this SKU number is $884. The case with the power supply is $256 with this part number. Amazon has the Intel network card. You want a PCI Express network card, and that's $37. And 2 terabyte hard drive for $199 for a total of $1376. Now, if you were to grab up these parts, you can build it yourself. It's pretty darn simple to build, even if you've never built a PC before. The other alternate is that you can pay a local PC shop. I don't know of a PC shop that wouldn't do this. You throw the parts at them, they build it, and the greatest thing is the part that takes the longest amount of time, they don't even have to do, and that's installing and configuring Windows. They just have to physically put it together for you. So you might even get it cheaper than $200 to get it built. The second step is getting Proxmox. The version of Proxmox that you want is called Proxmox VE, available at proxmox.com. VE stands for Virtual Environment. You download it and install it. The cost is free. The support does cost extra. That's what they charge for. They charge to offer support. The product itself is free. And it installs very easily. Basically, you download it, and it asks you to insert a flash drive. You put a flash or thumb drive, whatever you want to call it, flash drive, thumb drive, whatever, and you put the flash drive into your existing computer, and you build the flash drive. And once that flash drive is built, you insert that into your newly built Proxmox computer, and it automatically installs the Proxmox operating system onto your new computer. That's it. Beyond that, the process is Proxmox asks you about partitioning, meaning sectioning off your hard drive for different virtual computers. If you were following my, recommendations, you'd probably either do 10 or 20 virtual machines with either 100 to 200 gig of space each, which is a huge amount of space, way more than you're going to get at most VPS server hosting services. And like I said, it's pretty simple. Once you stick the flash drive in there, it installs Proxmox, and the next time that you reboot the tower, it's going to have Proxmox on it. Once it has Proxmox on it, there's a process for logging into it, and I'll show you that in a minute. So the last step is once you have Proxmox installed, etc., you need Windows licenses. So every copy of Windows or every virtual machine of Windows needs a Windows license. Now there's two different types of Windows licenses that work in this process. Windows 7 licenses work, Windows 10 licenses work better. Our end result is that you want Windows 10. Windows 7 licenses would be upgraded to Windows 10. So what are licenses? They're a series of numbers that you punch into an installation of Windows to prove that you have bought or otherwise acquired a copy of Windows. The installations of Windows do happen on Proxmox via ISO. So if you've ever done anything with burning CDs or converting a CD to a physical file and then duplicating it, that's an ISO. It's one file matches up with either an entire flash drive or an entire CD. And because Windows used to come on CD or DVD, and now it comes on a flash drive, it's an ISO, and you drop the ISO onto your Proxmox server, and it quickly installs. And it works out, you can use the same ISO over and over, but you need different licenses. So installing Windows on, Proxmox virtual machine is, it takes about a minute. Especially on this one, it's super fast. And like I said, we'd partition, if you had a 2 terabyte, which is 2,000 gig drive, you'd partition it to 100 gig each, and you get 20 virtual machines out of it. If you double up the size, because you only have 10 licenses, then you'd get 200 gig out of it, and you'd only get 10 virtual machines. The source of licenses. So the best source of licenses is old computers. Whether or not you have old computers in the office, that have been thrown out or being thrown out, because they're no longer being utilized, you can utilize the license. The second way to get them is to talk to your local computer shop. They may have licenses which are no longer being utilized that you can purchase from them. Another way is some of my customers have gone through eBay and gotten licenses through eBay. Little gray area there as to whether or not they're still being used, or whether or not they're 100% legit. But the nice thing is with Proxmox, if a license doesn't work out, you can blow out that installation and you can redo it very easily. It's as quickly as as easily as deleting a it's as easy as deleting a document. A virtual machine is like a document. And the last way to get licenses is to purchase them. You'd buy OEM licenses, which are not fully boxed licenses for a new computer install. They're about $100 a piece. Again, you can buy Windows 7 and upgrade them, or you can buy Windows 10. Once you've configured the Proxmox machine and partitioned it, you would log in from another computer that's on your network. You'd plug the network cable into the back of the Proxmox server, and as you see in this instance, you plug in the IP address, which is one of the only things that comes up on the screen when you boot a Proxmox server. It just comes up with a DOS-looking screen, white text on a black background, and it tells you the IP address. You type that into a browser anywhere on your network, and you log in. And yes, multiple people can log in at the same time, and we'll talk about remote access and VA access. So that allows you to get into Proxmox. And when you get into Proxmox, it looks a lot more like this on the right-hand side, in which case this MITS 6, 7, and 8 are they're virtual machines. They're Windows PCs. And if you were to double-click on them, they would actually open up a Windows computer, and you'd be working as if you're sitting in front of a Windows computer. That's how simple it is. Okay. Now, As a conclusion, additional Proxmox server benefits. Basically, you can come up with as many Windows computers as you can find licenses. As I spoke, up to 20 on a 2 terabyte drive. Ludicrous speed. Now, I'm a big user of SEO Autopilot, and I can tell you that people go out and buy $1,000 computers, and they complain about the speed of SEO Autopilot. I run 8 copies of SEO Autopilot on my Proxmox server, and all 8 of them run alongside each other, doing very complex tasks and huge campaigns, and all 8 of them run perfectly. And I still have 12 other virtual machines running, doing Money Robot, GSA, CTR, crawls for expired domains, you name it. This is if you want an SEO power tool, this is an SEO power tool. You're making an investment in something that's massive, and you're going to use it for the next several years. You're going to be able to set it and forget it forever. You come up with a task that is going to take 3 days. Like I did a scraping of mailing lists on Google My Business, and I did an estimate on the time, and it was going to take several days. I put it onto my Proxmox server, just turned it on, forgot about it, came back to it a week later, and the reports were sitting there. You're saving about $600 a month in computing. You're getting about $600 a month in computing power and saving about $600 a month in VPS servers from a VPS server host. That's on the low side, because the power of this unit, that as I spec this out, it's even more than that. And the investment, just so you know where the investment is, I've gotten 3 years out of mine, and it was very similar specs and cost me about the same price, and I could sell mine tomorrow easily for $1,300. So I've lost nothing in the investment on the hardware. I've gotten 3 years worth of work out of it. I've gotten the benefits that I have 20 virtual machines running at blazing fast speeds, and my investment is still there. The $1,300 that I put into it, I can get out of it tomorrow. After you've configured your Proxmox installation, you install your programs, and I recommend that you name your virtual machines with acronyms. I use SEOAP and MR and GSA to show that which machines have SEO Autopilot, Money Robot, CTR, GSA, whatever, so at a quick glance with the 20 or 30 characters that you have to name a virtual machine, you can see which ones have which tools loaded onto them. Now, remote access is very easy with this, and again, you can have multiple users using multiple virtual machines, and you control the passwords. VA access is the same way, and you can have a VA only access a computer that, a virtual machine that has, the tools that they need. So you'd have to configure it that way, but they wouldn't have access to the other virtual machines. So if you don't want them anywhere near SEO Autopilot or a machine that you utilize to do WordPress work or whatever, they wouldn't have access to that. They have access to the other virtual machines. Again, this is okay to run without a monitor. It is solid state, so it is blazing fast, and it boots and reboots in seconds. If anyone has any comments or questions regarding Proxmox servers, you can ask in the comments. I'm pretty much an expert user at this point of Proxmox. There is plenty that I've done. I've added to my Proxmox server. I've backed it up. I've restored. I've done a whole bunch of wild things with it. And basically, this conversation as far as Proxmox is getting you up and running, there's people that have taken this to the nth degree with a Proxmox server. And this is just the beginning of the benefits. Okay. Again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys checking in. Like and subscribe. We're just getting started. We have 20 to 30 videos already recorded. We have many more coming. I have 6 pages worth of topics that I plan on covering in the future. So ask away. If there's any topics that you want me to discuss or any questions that you have, definitely ask them in the comments. And have a good night. Have a good weekend. Take care.